Have you ever wondered why every time you stand up, your knees make that crackling sound? Or why even a short walk leaves your legs feeling worn out? We usually think, it's probably because I'm getting older, but that's not really the case. I used to feel the same way, swollen legs, stiff knees, and I always blamed it on aging. But the truth is, once you hit 30, your body quietly starts losing collagen, the protein that keeps your joints moving smoothly and your tissues firmly connected. By age 65, nearly all of your natural collagen is gone. You've probably heard about collagen in skin creams, in expensive supplements, but few people realize that simple fruits can actually trigger your body to produce collagen again. And this isn't just guesswork. Actual studies have shown that by simply changing your breakfast and adding the right fruits, you can reduce leg swelling and knee pain in as little as 2 days. That's why in this video, I'm sharing 8 fruits that nutritionists and doctors have proven to help rebuild collagen, reduce inflammation, and make your legs strong again. From the humble kiwi packed with vitamin C to the powerful but lesser-known Indian gooseberry, each one has its own story and special benefit. The most important thing is, this isn't just a quick hack. It's the first step toward building healthy eating habits that support your joints and legs right at home. Before I reveal these 8 fruits, I'd like to ask, are there any fruits you really can't stand? Or maybe some you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Leave a comment under this video. I'll be reading and replying. Who knows, your share might help someone else take the first step toward healthier legs and joints. Ready? Let's dive in and help your legs stop creaking and swelling so you can walk confidently every day. Part 1. Kiwi. Small but packed with joint-restoring nutrients. Have you ever thought that a tiny kiwi could change how your legs feel? Sounds strange, right? But the truth is, kiwi holds a surprising treasure trove of nutrients no one expects. What makes kiwi special is its exceptionally high vitamin C content. A medium-sized kiwi contains about 70 mg of vitamin C, enough to nearly meet your entire daily requirement. And vitamin C is essential if you want your body to naturally weave new collagen fibers that are gradually breaking down. Collagen isn't just inner beauty care. It's the foundational structure that connects cartilage, joints, and ligaments. Without vitamin C, your body can't activate the key enzymes that convert the amino acids proline and lysine into strong collagen fibers. When collagen weakens, the connective tissues around your knees or ankles lose their elasticity. And that's when you start feeling stiffness, or even hear popping or cracking sounds every time you stand up. The great thing is, kiwi doesn't stop at vitamin C, it also contains actinitin, a unique enzyme that helps your body digest and absorb protein more efficiently. This is important because your joints need protein as the raw material to repair themselves. When actinitin kicks in, protein breaks down faster, making more building blocks available to create new collagen. Did you know that eating just 2 kiwis a day can raise your blood vitamin C levels by over 30% in just a week? According to a clinical study from the University of Otago, New Zealand, older adults who regularly ate kiwi not only saw an increase in vitamin C, but also experienced less morning stiffness and greater range of motion. That means walking feels lighter, standing up no longer comes with annoying cracking sounds, and swelling after walking is noticeably reduced. Kiwi isn't just a dessert fruit. It's a natural, affordable, and easy way for your body to start its own recovery system. To get the most benefit, try eating fresh kiwi in the morning. If you can eat the skin, even better. The peel contains more fiber and antioxidants than the flesh itself. If you're not used to eating the skin, you can still slice kiwi into yogurt, blend it into smoothies, or toss it into a fresh salad. Every morning, a few slices of kiwi can be a natural, nutrient boost for your joints and legs, helping nourish, protect, and restore them from the inside out. I know you might not be used to the sweet tart taste of kiwi, but trust me, when your knees ache less, your legs swell less, you'll realize this isn't just a snack anymore, it's the first step toward reclaiming your strength. Have you ever tried kiwi like this? Leave a comment and share your experience, because your story might help someone else find their key to recovery too. Part 2, Pineapple. Natural bromelain enzyme and its powerful effects on joints. Imagine eating a slice of pineapple, not only refreshing and delicious, but also helping your knees feel less swollen, less painful, and more flexible. Sounds hard to believe. Science backs it up. Pineapple isn't just a sweet tropical fruit, it's a biological powerhouse packed with a special enzyme called bromelain. Most people don't know this, but bromelain is a natural anti-inflammatory compound. It works much like a painkiller, but without the side effects. What is bromelain and why does it matter for people with joint issues? Your body can't rebuild collagen effectively if it's inflamed. And this is especially true for joints. When areas like your knees, ankles, or hips swell up, tissues get compressed, blood flow is restricted, and the body's repair system practically shuts down. That's where bromelain comes in. It helps reduce tissue swelling, improves circulation, and unlocks the collagen production process. According to a study published in the journal Clinical Rheumatology, patients with knee arthritis who took bromelain daily for 30 days experienced a more than 40% reduction in joint pain and swelling. Remarkably, they didn't take any painkillers, just bromelain from pineapple. Another study from Germany even compared bromelain to NSAIDs, the common pain relievers like ibuprofen. The result? Bromelain worked just as well, but without the stomach or liver damage those drugs can cause. What else does pineapple offer besides bromelain? Pineapple is also rich in vitamin C, a crucial player in collagen production, as discussed in the kiwi section. But it doesn't stop there. Pineapple provides manganese, a rare mineral your body needs to activate the enzymes that build strong, resilient collagen networks. In other words, bromelain calms the inflammation to clear the path, while vitamin C and manganese help rebuild damaged tissue. How to use pineapple to support your joints most effectively. Important: not all pineapple is created equal. Fresh, ripe pineapple is your best option because bromelain is destroyed by heat and preservatives. Canned pineapple in syrup or frozen pineapple with added sugar has virtually lost all the benefits you're looking for. You can eat fresh pineapple in the morning when your digestive enzymes are most active. Blend it into smoothies with bananas, leafy greens, or even mix it with bone broth for added benefits. Add pineapple to salads or have it as dessert after a main meal. 1 cup of fresh pineapple a day, especially if your knees tend to swell after standing too long or your legs feel stiff after walking, can make a noticeable difference in just a few days. I used to think I needed medication to manage joint swelling, but pineapple, a fruit I've known since I was a kid, brought a change I never expected. After just 4 days of eating pineapple consistently, the tightness in my joints almost completely disappeared in the mornings. Try it. You don't need to overhaul your whole diet. Just add pineapple the right way and let your body take care of the rest. If you've ever used pineapple to help your joints, leave a comment and share how you did it. Your experience might help someone else move more freely. Part 3, Papaya. The overlooked fruit that's surprisingly powerful for joint tissue repair. If you're like me, you probably ate papaya mostly because it's easy to digest and good for your digestive system. But here's something many people, even health professionals, often miss. Papaya is one of the most potent fruits for collagen regeneration, especially in knee joints and leg ligaments. Why is papaya so effective for joints? The key lies in a special enzyme found in ripe papaya called papain. Papain acts like a biological cutter, breaking down complex protein chains into smaller amino acids that your body can actually use, especially for collagen production. Think of collagen like a bridge and amino acids as the bricks and stones. If your raw materials aren't broken down properly, the bridge can't be built. Papaya provides both the tools, papain, and the materials, vitamin C and flavonoids, to make that collagen building process smooth. On top of that, papaya contains more vitamin C than oranges, an essential ingredient to activate the enzymes that produce new collagen. But there's more. The flavonoids in papaya, especially in the flesh and seeds, help fight inflammation and oxidative stress, two major causes of long-term joint damage. What does the research say? A study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that people with chronic joint stiffness, especially in the knees, showed significant improvement in flexibility and pain reduction after just 2 weeks of regularly eating ripe papaya. This wasn't just theoretical. These were measurable results from real-life tests on a group of older adults. How to use papaya for maximum effect? To get the most benefit from papaya, eat it fully ripe and soft. That's when papain is most active. Avoid green or underripe papaya unless you're cooking it or making salad, because the enzyme isn't as active yet. Here are some easy ways to use papaya. Eat it fresh with a squeeze of lime juice to boost vitamin C. Cut it into chunks as a morning snack or post-walk dessert. Blend it into a smoothie with banana, chia seeds, or kiwi for a collagen-boosting combo. If you're used to it, you can even add a few crushed papaya seeds into your smoothie. They contain natural anti-inflammatory compounds. I tried it. Here's what happened. Honestly, I never cared much for papaya until my knees started locking up every morning. After a week of eating ripe papaya each morning, I started feeling better going upstairs. No more straining with every step. And the surprising part, my skin looked brighter too, a nice bonus I didn't expect. If you're looking for a simple, natural, and low-cost way to support joint recovery, papaya is a no-brainer. It's easy to find, easy to eat, and most importantly, it doesn't just make you feel better, it helps your body repair itself from the inside out. Have you ever tried papaya? If so, share how you use it. And if not, maybe now's the time to see what papaya can do for your joints. Part 4. Guava, the silent hero in collagen rebuilding for joints. If we had to choose one fruit that's often underrated but remarkably effective at rescuing our joints, it would be guava. Guava isn't flashy, it's not expensive, and you won't find it featured much in trendy health menus, but it holds a surprisingly powerful biological punch. Guava, the most potent natural vitamin C powerhouse you've probably overlooked. Let me be clear. One guava contains 4 times more vitamin C than an orange. That's over 200 mg per fruit, double the recommended daily intake for an adult. Why does that matter for someone with joint issues? Because vitamin C is the body's alarm bell that triggers collagen production. It not only helps synthesize new collagen, but also protects existing collagen fibers from being destroyed by oxidative stress, a common issue in older adults or people with high physical activity levels. In other words, guava doesn't just help rebuild, it also helps maintain what's already breaking down. Guava also contains key teammates that support collagen. Beyond vitamin C, guava is rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that protects connective tissue cells. Polyphenols help prevent collagen breakdown triggered by inflammatory enzymes. fiber and flavonoids, reduce inflammatory responses in joint tissue and improve digestion, which is essential for effective nutrient absorption. Is there real evidence? Yes, and it's significant. A study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who ate fresh guava daily for 6 weeks experienced a noticeable reduction in joint inflammation, and their skin became more elastic, a direct sign of increased collagen density in connective tissues. How to use guava to maximize its joint-restoring benefits. Guava can be eaten with the skin on, and you should, because the peel contains a high concentration of fiber and antioxidants. If guava tastes a bit too astringent or tough, choose the pink-fleshed varieties. They're softer and easier to eat. Usage suggestions. Eat the whole fruit in the morning. Slice it into a mixed fruit bowl. Blend it into a smoothie with papaya, kiwi, or plain yogurt. Avoid bottled guava juice or any version with added sugar. Sugar triggers inflammation and cancels out the antioxidant benefits. Just one guava each morning is enough to kickstart the collagen regeneration process in your worn-out joints. Personal experience. From ordinary to can't live without it. I used to overlook guava, thinking there was nothing special about it. But when I started rebuilding my diet to focus on joint and connective tissue support, I added guava to my daily breakfast. After about 10 days, I noticed a change. Not only were my knees complaining less, but I didn't feel sluggish or stiff when waking up in the morning. Surprisingly, my skin also improved, softer, brighter, probably thanks to the steady collagen renewal from the inside out. If you're looking for something simple but effective, don't look any further. Guava is one of the most affordable, accessible, and science-backed options out there. It doesn't need hype. It doesn't need to be imported. All it needs is your consistency, one fruit each morning, and let your body handle the rest. Have you been eating guava regularly? If so, how has it felt for you? If not, now's the time to give it a try. Because sometimes, the ordinary brings the most unexpected results. If you're still watching this, I want to pause for a moment to say thank you. Not everyone takes the time to really understand their own body. Not everyone is willing to make a change, even a small one, to improve their health. But you are, and that makes you different. We're halfway through this journey. You've learned that joint pain, swollen feet, stiff knees, these aren't just aging. They're signs your body is losing collagen over time. You've discovered 4 incredibly familiar fruits, kiwi, pineapple, papaya, and guava, and how they help regenerate collagen from the inside, reduce inflammation naturally, and support your body's ability to heal itself. But there are 4 more fruits, and you haven't heard the strongest ones yet. One tiny berry that can cut cartilage-destroying enzymes by up to 25%. One common red fruit that can reduce inflammation markers by over 37% in just 2 weeks. And one traditional medicinal fruit that can boost collagen flexibility by 24% and ease knee pain by more than 40%, backed by real research. I don't want you to miss this part, because the second half is where we go from knowing to actually feeling the change. This is when you start to notice. Standing up gets easier, walking feels lighter, you wake up without that aching knee pain. Now it's your turn to act. Don't just watch and forget. Pick one of the 4 fruits we covered today. Start tomorrow. Track how you feel. What do you notice after 3 days? After 7 days? Leave a comment. I'm going to try papaya or starting kiwi today. I want to follow along with you, and I'll share extra tips if you need them. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss part 2, where we go deeper, go harder, and tap into real long-term joint recovery. This isn't some life hack or temporary trend. This is a proactive strategy, eating to rebuild, not just cope. See you in part 2. I'll be there, sharing the rest of the fruits, the real science behind them, and how to combine them for faster, clearer results. You're not doing this alone, and your legs, your joints deserve to be supported, protected, and restored. See you in the next video. And don't forget, change starts with the smallest things.